new crew if you're new. My name's Cassandra. It has been a hot minute since I brought you guys into the kitchen to do a what's for dinner. Basically just a meals of the week. If you're new, we're a family of 6. Just kidding, we're a family of 7, but 6 eat. Number 7 is still only 2 months old, so that's not happening with the meals. But I'm going to show you guys what I cooked for our large family on just like a normal weekly basis. This is our last like 2 weeks before school gets back into session, so easy summer things, lots of garden produce going down. Today I went back to school shopping with my 3 oldest kids, which means my husband and the 2 babies stayed at home, and he pulled out meat for dinner. I told him just pull out whatever you want, and you know, you picked the menu for tonight. So he picked cheeseburgers for the kids and for my husband's lunch tomorrow, and then for us he pulled out 2 steaks. So I have a sirloin here and a T-bone. So me and my husband will do steak and eggs for dinner tonight, plus probably my oldest daughter, me and her will split a steak with some eggs, and then the other 3 kids will do cheeseburgers, and then the leftover cheeseburgers we have will go for my husband's lunch tomorrow, and we're gonna pair that with some of our garden tomatoes here. I also have some lettuce still in the fridge from the garden. We've got a couple cucumbers here, and sorry, it is so loud. My husband's kind of grass, but I also have some onions and other just like burger toppings, steak toppings and things for dinner tonight. So that's what we are going to do. The one thing my husband did forget to do though was pull out hamburger buns, so these are still frozen, so I think I'm going to toast those in the oven with the cheese on them just to get things warmed up and ready to go. So I'll show you guys plates once they're done, but so far that is going to be dinner tonight. Number 2 for dinner, I am going to be ever so loosely following a Marry Me chicken recipe off of Pinterest. This one is wellnessbyk.com. There are like 100 different variations of this. Find one that you like, substitute what you don't. The recipe always calls for sun-dried tomatoes. Our family doesn't like those. I leave them out. Not really that big of a deal, but this is a family favorite. It goes over really well, and when I asked the kids what they wanted for dinner, everybody kind of said pasta, so this is what I'm going to do, and I have everything for it, so that's why this one won. And I'm just trying to get out of the spaghetti and meatballs route because my kids have been really into spaghetti and meatballs. It's a little early to be prepping dinner, but everyone seems really hungry, so even though it's only 3 o'clock, let's go ahead and get this started. By the time everything's done and it's on the table, it'll probably be 4:15 anyways, so we're gonna start that. I might throw in some fresh garden tomatoes because I have so many right now. I have a really nice basket full of a couple different varieties of tomatoes here, so it's also just that kind of season where if you've got it, we're throwing it in. So let's see what this dinner ends up being once I throw whatever I'm gonna throw into it and additives and all the things. Because I threw in a little bit more pasta, I added a little bit more like broth cooking liquid to this. The recipe calls for 1.5. I ended up doing 2 cups and then the regular 1 cup of cream just to give me a little bit more sauce with our pasta here, because I didn't want it, no one likes dry pasta, so to make sure we have enough, I just added a little extra. Some of these tomatoes to throw in it. Not all of my family members like that, but they can just pick around it. I'll just leave them large enough for so they're really easy to scoop out.
This meal is so simple, but so good. Everybody always really likes it, and I don't always think of this meal, so it's nice to be able to have suggestions for the kids, because sometimes that just makes the brain work a whole lot easier when someone's telling you what to make versus thinking of what you have to do off the meal plan. So loving that for me, that the kids are getting a little bit older and they have a little bit more of an opinion, because it actually makes things a lot easier on me. So here is our Marry Me pasta.
You're gonna have to ignore all the canning behind me. It was a very long canning day today. But for dinner tonight, I'm pulling out a new recipe. I've had it on just on my mind over the last like 2 months or so. We're gonna do a ground beef orzo. I will have this linked down below for you, but I have everything I need for it, so we're gonna give it a go. and see how it works out. We really like orzo. We kind of discovered that a couple months ago. So I've got some onions from the garden. Once again, I have some really beautiful tomatoes coming in, so I might chop up some fresh tomatoes to put it on top, but fresh. I don't want to put it in with the mix. So I will have this linked up below if you want to follow it, but of course I'll show you guys a little bit of cooking and a finished plate.
This meal tasted just like spaghetti, so I feel like this would be a really good one for kids. My kids really enjoyed it. I do think that this one will make the rotation of just kind of normal things. I didn't have any beef base, which is what this recipe was calling for, so I mixed together some chicken stock and then a little bit of this like roasted vegetable one, and it turned out just fine. I think you could do it with whatever base you have. It's not going to make that big of a difference in my opinion. I topped mine with some mozzarella cheese and it was absolutely delicious. Like I said, next time I make this, I'll definitely make sure we have some fresh bread or some garlic bread or something like that because it definitely called for it. The next meal I wanted to go ahead and do is actually just a breakfast burrito. Something really easy to throw together with some of our garden potatoes, some of our onions as well, some of our local breakfast pork that we get, and it was absolutely delicious. Of course, we topped it with a little bit of cheese, some of our fresh eggs. Really simple, really easy dinner, but everybody was very happy with this. So we topped it with sour cream and some fresh garden vegetables, and it was absolutely fantastic. Really easy, yummy meal. Heading into another meal. We're just doing rapid fire right now with these last couple of meals. Another super simple, easy meal, perfect for fall and winter, are these pork chops. Super simple. All we're doing is taking our pork chops. Mine are still pretty much completely frozen out of the freezer. We're putting them in our pot with 2 quarts of canned sauerkraut. Absolutely delicious. That's it. That's all we're doing. We're dumping it in, turning the stove on, and letting it go. We paired ours with some mashed potatoes from our fresh potatoes, and that was dinner. Super simple, super easy, delicious. Always a crowd pleaser. Fresh bread would have been great with this meal as well. So we're heading into the season where fresh bread is going to need to be a thing a little bit more often. Then it was Friday night. Had to do pizzas. That's what the kids wanted. We did Italian sausage and ham for these pizza toppings. The next day, my kids were asking if we could do scalloped potatoes. This is also a family favorite, such a simple meal. I love this time of year because meals just get to be so simple and so homey and just like warm and filling, which are my favorite types of meals personally. So my oldest went ahead and harvested some potatoes because she wanted them fresh. She washed them and got them set aside for me so that I could go ahead and make the scalloped potatoes. Very simple. All we're doing is slicing these potatoes and we are going to put them in our casserole dish with probably about a cup and a half of milk. I would say I probably diced up about 7 potatoes that were like medium sized for my family. About a cup and a half of milk, about half a block of cheese of your choice. We're using Colby Jack here just because that's what I had in the fridge. And then I'm putting in probably about half a stick to 3/4 of a stick of butter. Normally I would have thrown in a splash of heavy whipping cream, but I didn't have any, so I just kind of skipped it this time and it turned out fine. We're going to bake this in the oven at 350, and then about halfway through the cooking time I added another splash of milk just because it needed it, and topped it with some ham chunks out of my freezer. We paired that with some of our canned corn and canned green beans. Once again, a meal that would have been even better with a loaf of fresh bread. But it was super simple, super easy, a really hands-off meal, which I love, and super filling. It doesn't look like a lot, but this meal actually gave us leftovers because it's just real food and fills you up so nicely. So that is my full week of meals for my large family of 7. I hope wherever you guys are having a fantastic day. I hope you had a great holiday weekend, and I will catch you guys in another video.